What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Crossing the Finish Line. I'm your host, Cody Kaler. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at ANZ Trucking. Today, we're going to talk about automation again, different kind of automation, though, than we've talked about in the past. Today, we're actually talking about fully automating a warehouse and really what goes into that. And I mean, it sounds a little out there because I don't think a lot of us have actually seen anything like that. But I happen to know our guest today very, very well. We've been friends for the past decade or so. And when he had brought this up to me, I think it was a little over a year ago, I was very, very interested in it. So figured it'd be a great topic for us to talk about. Now that they've made a lot of leeway on there. So we have a very special guest. His name is Justin Johnson. He is the Director of Logistics and Transportation for Associated Food Stores in Far West Utah. So welcome, Justin. How's it going, buddy?
It's going great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for being on, man. Long time.
For sure. That's been.
So for those of you who don't know, I used to work with Justin, actually. We used to be coworkers for quite a while, too. So we go back a long ways. But I kind of wanted to start with just a little bit of background about Associated Food Stores, since some of the audience may not know who you guys are, just because you're kind of regionally located out here in the West. So maybe just give us a rundown of who you guys are, what you guys do.
Yeah. So Associated is a member-owned wholesale distributor. So we're a co-op, obviously. We have about 450 stores in 9 different states that we supply, and we have one DC located in Far West Utah, which is about 40 miles north of Salt Lake. It's a huge DC, 1.2 million square feet. Have a close to about 1,000 team members working there when I include our driving staff, and 24/7 production. And so we've been, lucky enough as we worked with our board and our executive staff to really invest in that DC and kind of create the infrastructure for Associated for the next 30 years from a distribution standpoint.
Yeah, it's awesome. For a lot of you guys that don't realize, they're one of the largest warehouses west of the Mississippi River. It is actually a huge warehouse for nobody who's been there before. What are you guys sitting at? About 1.25 million square feet?
Yeah, about 1.25. And we pride ourselves on being a world-class DC, and I think this is the next step to ensure that we can live up to that label, I guess, for the next couple decades.
Yeah, for sure. And just for my broker friends out there, Justin is not your contact for freight. So please don't reach out to him. I'm sure he's already getting a million calls and emails. But
delete my LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. So we can change your name to Justin something else. Yeah. So yeah, and then how about a little bit of background on you? How'd you get your start in logistics? I mean, that's the majority of my audience is going to be all revolved around logistics. So give me a rundown how you started. Sure. How'd you get where you're at today?
Yeah, so I started with Associated close to 12 years ago, and that would have put me in my early 30s, and I was kind of in a rebuilding stage in my life, switching my career path, switching a lot of things, and started on the ground level as a selector. At that time, I went back to college. I had a couple of years of college done, and I think I spent 18 months as an order selector, and then started applying for different leadership jobs. And that's when Cody, when you and I first really got to know each other. Cody denied me my first promotion, but then I took his advice and got promotable. And eventually, as Cody left Associated, I took over the outbound logistics team, and that was really my first probably major career step, where I started working in logistics, learning more about our business, learning more about the industry, and since then I've been fortunate enough where I've had a couple of great mentors. The VP I report to, Glenn, has really mentored me a long time, along with some of our previous executives, and it's one thing after another. Basically, whatever they put on the plate, we try to get done.
Yeah, one thing I've learned in my 20 plus years in logistics is usually the people at the top, they always started on the ground floor. Yeah. Their own cases, loading trucks, unloading trucks, hustling trucks. The best way to understand what we do is to start off by doing it, buddy. It's
totally agree.
Yeah, and you've had the best experience. You've experienced it all, from picking cases to working with drivers to I remember my first time actually working on a driver bid thinking, what the hell did I get myself into, right? Like this is crazy, completely different world than what I was used to, but it's such a great experience. And Associated's a great company too. I mean, you guys obviously take care of your team members. You guys have some insane tenure, especially with your driving staff. Your driving staff, you got some guys that are 40 plus years, right?
You froze in.
Oh,
so you're back. So yeah, our driving staff's amazing. We have like 3% turnover in our driving staff, and that's for a lot of reasons. Number one, we do bids based on seniority. So after paying your dues, first couple of years, you can have really good quality of life, which we really value as a company as a whole, but especially with our driving staff. Our drivers are working on a daily basis with our owners. So a lot of these store owners are single store operators, or they have a couple stores in one of these different regions we ship to. So they develop really long lasting and important relationships. And then from a pay perspective, we're pretty competitive also. And so we really think those three things kind of set us apart. And we're really proud of our driver staff. Every year we do an annual survey to our member owners, and our driving staff's always the top rated group. They're a great bunch of guys.
Yeah. I'm still friends with quite a few of the drivers that were there when I was there. So not enough praise goes to the leadership team there for taking care of the drivers. Any drivers out there by chance though, if you guys are looking for, a new position, I'm sure that Justin would be the person that you would want to reach out to see if you guys could on board with those guys. So, all right. So let's dive into Project Roar. So Roar is your guys' automation project. I'm, after seeing it firsthand, I was up there a couple of weeks ago with Justin. He actually gave me a tour of everything. It's so crazy. Like what you guys are doing there is absolutely state of the art. Yeah, it's intense. Like it's so cool too. Like the technology that's coming out for this stuff is just insane. So you want to talk about it a little bit first?
Yeah.
And then we've got a video we can show everybody. Kind of gives a scope of it from a real standpoint.
Totally. Yeah. I'll kind of tell you how we got started down this path. So Roar, it's a internal marketing acronym that we use, and it stands for Revolutionizing Our AFS Resources. So it's been a fun way to kind of engage the team. But the basis and start point for this this project was we've had a new executive staff over the last couple of years, and they came in and led by our CEO created a long-term growth strategy, 2030 and beyond, and where we see our sales growth. And as most people know, this area, Utah, Idaho in particular, are seeing a ton of population growth from West Coast transplants. And so we're seeing a lot of same store growth. We have members building new stores. And when we project our sales out for the next decade, my job and our team's job is how do we create the infrastructure to support that? And so we went through and looked at really what's our biggest challenges, our biggest bottlenecks, and the order selector position historically in this industry is just a tough one. You're typically over 100% turnover, and we do a lot of things. We do 3-day work weeks, we do tuition reimbursement, we do flexible scheduling, basically everything that's out there to create a better team member experience and increase the quality of life. We do those things, but we still have that challenge. So when I think about the next decade, and a job that's so labor intensive, where these guys are coming in and picking up between 30 and 50,000 pounds a day, I just don't see that workforce being there long term, or I see it becoming, more and more costly to continue the conventional warehousing path. And so we presented what we thought would be a good automation strategy. We got the okay from our board to go through the RFP process. We looked at a handful of vendors. We of course have a lot of contacts in the space, other wholesalers, other food suppliers, and really landed on Symbotic for a couple of reasons. We feel like that technology is the most cutting edge. And the other thing that really set them apart is they can build their system with an existing warehouse. And so that for us, when we really thought we have this beautiful, as we talked about, this beautiful DC, huge investment, and it's probably in the last 20 years been the biggest improvement for AFS. We want to stay within this building. How do we do that was the question. And how do we support the sales growth? This is our catalyst, I guess, to modernizing the DC. It gives us an increase in throughput, increase in storage, and solves a lot of those problems with selection like I was talking about.
Yeah, it's a tough job, man. I remember when I got a job as an order selector there, and there was many days that I went home feeling like I got hit by a truck. Yeah, it's a young man's game too, man. I mean, I was, I think I was 20 or 21 when I started there. And, after I ran for just under a year and my body was shot after that. So I don't know how, when I was there was guys that had been running for 3, 4, 5 years. And I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it, man. Like you guys must have lived with icy hot and freaking Tylenol,
There's some tough guys out there, but that similar to your experience, when I was a new guy a couple of years behind you, I was the new guy on my team of 30 for 6 months. Now, if you've been here 6 months, you're one of the tenured guys. And so we've just lost that knowledge basis, and I have children who are 10 and 8 years old. When I look at that group and think, what does that workforce look like 10 years from now? They're growing up with technology literally in their back pocket from day one. And so how do we transition that entry-level position from this hardcore labor job to a job where they're looking at screens and helping us monitor that system? And so that's kind of our strategy here.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm trying to get my 5-year-old to start opening toys and stuff on YouTube. Yeah, they're making that millions of dollars. Yeah, exactly. Help me retire. Awesome. Well, we'll play this video here really quick,
okay.
And then we'll kind of go over a little bit more on it after that. So let's roll that video.
Retailers, welcome. 6 months ago, I was standing in this very spot. We had just cleared out warehouse racking that was the equivalent of a football field. Now, 6 months later, phase 1 is built. We now are just waiting for the electrical switchgear to arrive. Soon, within 4 months, we'll be testing the system live and building pallets in Q1 of 2025.
Continue the journey as we witness the epic rise of Project Roar, the powerful system that creates the infrastructure's backbone, which will support growth for decades to come.
From the first strike in March to the final flourish in August, these determined crews toiled relentlessly, each ensuring that every piece was placed with the utmost precision and care, crafting a legacy that will stand the test of time. The inbound cranes will receive up to 3,500 cases per hour, scan each case for accuracy, and then send cases to the awaiting bot fleet. The storage area will hold 30% more inventory than the same area in conventional warehouse racking, providing space for sales growth strategies while reducing storage costs. The outbound cranes will build pallets using store mapping logic, combined with stackability rules, to build dense, tightly wrapped pallets. At full capacity, the outbound cranes will produce over 4,000 cases per hour. Over the next 12 months, the AFS team, retailers, and Symbotic will work in unison to fire up Phase 1 and start construction on Phase 2. There has been a short interruption in the building of the electrical equipment, which will create some challenges the team must overcome. The system will be powered up, and testing will start in January, with the first outbound pallets scheduled to be sent to retail during the last weeks of February. Initially, the pallets will be small, as 25 SKUs will be added to the system each day. Also, the team will focus first on creating the proper stacking rules to ensure that stable pallets are being built, and then the store mapping logic will be added. By the start of the peak summer season, Phase 1 will be running at full capacity, and the building of Phase 2 will commence. AFS is driven by incredible focus and boundless enthusiasm, eagerly anticipating the triumphant completion of both phases of Project Roar by the summer of 2026.
There you have it.
Awesome. I got to tell you, I was like, you can ask any of the Bill Broomheads of the world. My worst thing was building pallets, man. I couldn't stack pallets in my life. So that's crazy tech. So you guys are able to build it from a labor standpoint at retail, you're able to build it based off of their layout of every single
Their
store.
schematic. Yeah. So
That's
we
crazy.
one of the initiatives we've had over the last couple of years is to make sure we have a database with every store mapping. And so we're going to we've already loaded our files with every aisle, every location. And so for each of those 450 plus locations, I'll build the pallets by aisle, and then on their license plates, the tag that tells them the information, I'll be able to show, hey, on aisle 1, there's 45 cases. On aisle 2, in this pallet, there's 3 cases. And we'll actually build, anytime we can, we're going to build just 1 pallet per aisle, but obviously that won't work in all examples. So we'll build in layers. Aisle 1, for example, would be on the bottom, aisle 2 in the middle, aisle 3 on top. And also when we talk about grocery, you can think of seasonal ads, Halloween, for example. We'll be able to create Halloween as its own aisle, let's say aisle 99. So I can ship you a separate, and I know this makes sense to you, Cody, a separate seasonal pallet, or it can be on the top of a pallet. And I can control that order. And let's say Tuesdays and Saturdays are my days I have the greatest capacity from a labor and transportation asset standpoint. I'm going to hold that order and send it to you on Tuesdays instead of Sundays, which is a peak day, for example. So it's going to really let me level out my my demand going out and reduce some transportation costs. The other really cool thing, and I know we're talking to a logistics group, is when we went back and visited a company that has this on site, they were able to prove that what a great tenured selector could do in about 6 pallets, the system can do in 4, just because it's using AI technology and it's constantly adjusting their stacking rules. So when you think of freight and how much dollars you can get in a 4x4 foot pallet, our freight cost is going to go down. I'm going to put my cubes at close to 85 cubes per pallet, and these pallets are dense. You could hit them with a Chevy and they're going to spin down the road. They're not going to tip. It's pretty sweet.
Love it. No, that's a great point. When I was an order selector, it was like 70 cube max, right? And it was because the human element of it. And, to my point, I was a shit ass stacker, couldn't stack to save my life. I could run fast, but I couldn't stack to save my life.
That's the same.
Yeah. So, I failed at building with Legos when I was a kid, and it showed. But that, all we do is move freight. And the two things that always come to mind is cube and weight, right? That's what's literally going to dictate how much you can get on a truck, which is going to dictate your costs of, transportation. So every single shipper, every single manufacturer is always looking for ways to increase their cube, decrease their weight, or at least get their weight, spot on with an increase of cube. So AI is the perfect way to do that, man. I mean, it's smarter than the rest of us, right? So
it's so intelligent, and that's really what you're paying for at the end of the day is that AI. So it's going to see. So I have 3 order batches a day. It's going to say every Monday you ship to this group of stores that order these SKUs, and so as that pallet is received, it's going to, and let's say it's a fast moving item, it's going to slot it towards the front of the system. And it's going to know it needs to be towards the front on Monday mornings, because we're trying to reduce, even though those bots go 25 miles per hour, we're still trying to maximize our throughput. And similar, from the same standpoint, as I bring in a really slow moving item, maybe we're buying a layer at a time, 10 cases. It's going to put it at the back of the system. So we have to travel to the back as few times as possible. And it will learn our order mix and our peaks over time.
Yeah, it's crazy. And those bots are crazy. Like I said, I went and did a tour that they look like almost little bumper cars, right? And then and you said they're charging on the track, right? So they're going 24/7. They're an order selector that never calls in, never gets sick, never needs time off, doesn't care about holidays. And they're literally recharging as they're going to their next pick location, right?
They have little ultra capacitors, so they're always charging up to 25 miles per hour, 90-degree turns. It's one of those things. I think when we're live, we're going to charge people to come and eat popcorn and pull up a seat and watch the bots.
I love it. I was just going to say we should. So you're saying Q1, you should probably be here to ship.
I'll sometime in February, I'll have some decent Q pallets coming out.
So we should do a follow-up, like when you guys are like
Sure.
fully up and running, and do another episode, get you on here and see how it's show everybody how it's actually running now.
Yeah, for
That'd be
sure.
really fun. So really cool shit, man. I mean, I think back to, so I started at the age of 18 working for Walmart, right? And within six months, I was a team lead there. And one of my teams was the crew that unloaded all the GM. This was on the retail side that I was on. So, so my team it was all hand stack shit that would come in these 53-foot dry vans, right? And my team would set up pallets and they'd unload. We had this big conveyor belt that came out and they'd unload onto each pallet. And then after that, after they got done unloading the truck, they'd have to pull the pallets out and go to every single aisle and, stock everything too. Right. So like I'm sitting here that whole time. That's why that stood out to me about you guys being able to build off the store schematics. I can't count how many times it was like, you'd go down, you'd be pulling, with your pallet jack, pulling your pallet down the aisle of your retail store, and you drop 2 cases, and then you'd have to go do the next aisle, and then you have to go do the next aisle.
Right.
So this literally, you could drop that pallet, and theoretically, in most instances, that pallet's going to get unloaded in that aisle, and then next aisle has a pallet, next aisle has a pallet, based on volume. Obviously, that's so cool. It's such a huge labor savings for the retailers, man.
Totally. That was one of the huge selling points. So I'm going to reduce my my warehouse staff selection staff by about 30%. And then for retailers, they're going to, depending on the size and square footage, they're going to see a lot of savings too.
That's crazy, dude. It's so cool. And we work with CNS Grocers, which is where Rick Cohen came from. So everybody who doesn't know about Symbotic, Rick Cohen's the CEO and owner of CNS. He also started Symbotic. Really good guy, super brilliant. So to see that when you guys were telling me about that, I was like, man, this is so cool. Like you guys are leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of your competition, to be honest with you. So it's really cool to see that.
Yeah. I think Symbotic's a really good partner. When I go back to that RFP process, that's what stood out is not only Rick, but the sales director and the different people we were building a model with. They come from the grocery industry, so they speak our language. They know what we're talking about. Trying to visualize some of this other automation, and it's good. It's sweet, but it doesn't translate as much as Symbotic does as far as that intelligence to build a pallet and store by the case. So yeah, we're excited. And it's interesting when you really think about automating a warehouse with 800 labor jobs. The first thing that goes through people's mind is automation. I'm not going to have a job.
Yep.
Right. And you can see by our Project Roar internal marketing, we've taken the approach where we've been transparent from day one. So we have video communication coming out to the team on a monthly basis, and we're not doing any layoffs. Instead, I'm building this thing in multiple phases. And so what I'll do is I'll adjust my headcount 2 to 3 months out from day one of go live. We just won't hire during that time frame, and instead we're transitioning more people to driving, to forklifts. We're going to have 25 new tech jobs of working on the system, and those are all going to be internal promotions. And then we'll do that again in phase 2. So I think that's an important point from a culture standpoint, is we've been totally transparent and no layoffs. Got to always get that in there.
Yeah, it's on everybody's mind. That's what's going through the that potential strike on the East Coast, right? With the longshoremen, is they want to make sure that cranes aren't going to come in and take their job. We had a really good question here from Samantha Jones. So if my listeners don't know who Samantha is, she's got a great podcast too. Meet Me for Coffee. It actually runs the same days as my podcast. Really good friend of mine, very intelligent woman. So she's asking, will the facility operate on strict pickup appointments since you're planning staging the orders each day? I'd imagine with how efficient and dialed in the tech gets, it will be imperative transportation partners are also dialed in on schedules.
Yeah, that's a great question. So from an outbound standpoint, all loads leave on my private fleet. So we have 150 drivers that are stationed at our DC, and we do have strict depart times by hour, and our delivery windows are 30 minutes. So that won't change on the outbound side. Inbound is where, so historically from grocery distribution, the majority of your labor and efforts are all outbound. You just receive a pallet, you put it away, but you have all these order selectors, guys loading trucks. And now kind of switches that diagram where it's so important that the product shows up undamaged, that we get it in the system, because that's our bottleneck, is getting the product into the system efficiently. And so as we look forward, initially during this first year, we won't be changing much. We will be communicating a lot with vendors on packaging, but our delivery window philosophy has changed over the last year, and this is part of the reason as we step there, we're holding trucking companies to a tighter window, and same from a inbound damage perspective, where we have a different program as far as what we've rolled out, and some penalties in there, to be honest. So I think long term, the answer is yes, we will have to dial that inbound flow better.
Yep. The less you can reduce your safety stock and increase your turns, the better it is for everybody, right? So it's crazy. I mean, you guys have come so far since I left 7 years ago. It's so awesome to see that, man. Like, it's so cool to see that. When I walked in there, I didn't even recognize the place, honestly. So
it's been quite the journey over the last couple of years, for sure.
Yeah.
We have just a ton of support.
Yeah, and to echo what Justin said and what Samantha asked, we do deliver into Associated Foods. They're actually one of our larger customers, and they are, I would say you guys are a little bit more lenient, to be honest with you, compared to a lot of your peers, but they're very, very, very good and easy facility to deliver into, guys. We never have any issues on that. So definitely an easy place, but just like anywhere else, if you have a delivery time of noon and you show up at 3 p.m., you better expect to wait till the next day to get delivered. That's just how it works. But yeah. So cool. Anything else you want to add? We're coming up on time here, and I know you're on a short window here. So anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, thanks for the opportunity. It's always good to catch up with you. And to be continued, probably. I think your point of doing a follow-up would be fun. We could do it live from that dock with the robots running around in the background or something.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll get up there. Hopefully you don't go live when it's snowing, because I hate going to Utah during the winter. But living down here in sunny Arizona, I don't like leaving my 80 degrees in January.
You got it good. No, and I think the parting thing is it's a huge investment by these member owners. So what it tells me and my team is we're not going anywhere. This is a ROI, or I should say an investment that will be around for the next 30 years. So we'll be located at Far West, and we'll continue to upgrade that building and hopefully be able to live up to that term of state-of-the-art distribution center.
Yep. And the cool thing about AFS is that you guys allow owners to live out the American dream, right? Like, you guys are going up against the Walmarts of the world and the Krogers of the world, and you're able to compete, and you're able to get your pricing in line and everything else in your service in line because of AFS. I mean, these guys, I know quite a few owners that have like one store, right?
Yep.
They're able to stay competitive in their area and their market because you guys have the purchasing power that you have, and you have the service level that you have, and you have the team that you guys have. So, AFS is a great company to work for, great company to work with. And, I owe a lot to you guys, Keesaw especially. You mentioned Keesaw as a mentor. He was one of my best mentors too. And you guys love to see the growth that you guys are having, and definitely want to see that double volume in the next 5 years, like you guys have talked about. And I know you guys will do it. I know you guys have such a great staff there, and, things are going well. So love to see it. If you guys have any questions out there about anything we've covered, Symbotic or AFS in general, reach out to me. I can get you in touch with Justin. If you have any questions just in general, it doesn't matter. Reach out to me. I love hearing from all you guys. If we don't have anything else, Justin, to be continued, hopefully in Q1 or Q2 next year, and looking forward to seeing you again, man. Thanks for catching up with me.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks. See you.
Thanks,
everyone.